How's it going? And welcome to a restart of the Reading Magazine live interviews. My name is Jason Hugg. Today I am with Tanya Melendez, and community volunteer here in Oakbrook, and in the Oakbrook community here in the 18th Ward of Reading. And today we're actually going to be talking about a cool little project here. It's the the Cultivating community
at Oakbrook.
At Oakbrook, it's a garden project here. And before we kind of get into that, tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do in the community, just to give people some background on who you are.
So I am representing the 18th Water Improvement Association on a voluntary basis. I do a lot of community outreach and any kind of little program that I can do and fit around my schedule, with homeschooling and all that great stuff and family businesses, free time. Working on food insecurity and working on filling the book desert that we have in our area as much as I can. Little programs like that. But right now, the main focus for this summer, spring and summer, is a community garden in the 18th Ward. Okay. The one little ward that's always forgotten. Most people go, "You're part of Reading?" Yes,
well, yeah,
we're part of Reading.
So, I mean, really, you've kind of taken, over the years, not just this year, but you've taken different community projects and kind of, I guess, found the gaps of where things, where things could be better. You talked a little bit about the book project. Could you tell me a little bit about that first? Because I'm sure people see them in the community.
Yeah, we have quite a few little libraries, free libraries, book exchange bins, throughout the 18th Ward. Actually, I have a brand new one coming out this week.
Oh, okay.
Exciting.
So yeah, I didn't know
we
about
can we can leave the house again and touch things. So we have a new one coming in. It'll be right around the Wawa area of Lancaster Avenue.
Okay.
Not previewing it yet, but it'll be right around there. So there's no library in our section. There's no bookstores, any of that kind of thing, and there's been a lot of great efforts on programs like Ready, Set, Read and things like that, but the community at large has very little access to just books, reading. So we got a lot of great people together and donations and put some library boxes around town. Other than that, I mean, they're still going, and Schlegel Park has one. There's one, Oakbrook Homes has one right at their offices. We have quite a few of them. So there's the 18th Wonder website is 18thward.org. You can find a list of them there.
There's a little locations there.
Yeah, the locations are there. There's a little map.
So that kind of brings us into the community garden project. So tell me a little bit about how that got started and why that's needed in the community.
This year, if anything else, for me, has pinpointed or highlighted the need for food security. Just normal people, everyday people. There was all the talk about, toilet paper going scarce, but people were really, really afraid of not having enough food for their kids because they didn't know what was happening. So if one thing that helped for me to kind of control that was to put in a vegetable garden at home. And it was fueled by the Victory Garden Task Force that was created last year, which was, again, another collective impact group that had kind of the same vision. How can we help the community? Well, let's bring back these victory gardens that they created after a war so people would have access to fresh fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, and tell, for people who may have either missed that or don't really remember that too well, tell us about that. Because that was a cool little box.
And, it was Councilwoman Lucine Sihelnik, together with the Food Trust, Penn State Extension Program, the City of Reading, there were a couple more, Berks Nature. There were quite a few other entities. They got some seedlings that were already started by Penn State to put them together. They had soil donated and had boxes made, like little garden boxes made out of cardboard by one of our stores in the 18th Ward that does this. D.H. Smith, I think is their name.
Yeah.
Okay. They created a little box. It was gorgeous with a little logo, and it was like the Victory Garden box. And
they were very nice boxes.
They were, right? And like you were so happy carrying it. So, they donated, they had like 3 donation times and spots throughout the city. And anybody in District 1 could get one. There was one giveaway in Penn Street, and there was one right here in this spot.
Okay.
We were able to give out happily to people who were so excited to get one. Over 100 boxes in less than an hour and a half.
Oh, wow. And what did they have inside? Like, what kind of?
They had tomatoes, peppers, and some kind of herb. I mean, they all had different ones, but like mine had a tomato, a sweet pepper, and a basil, which was perfect. And you know, those boxes are still there because I still have the box at home. It's getting herbs this year again. So
So you took that to your backyard and
yeah,
you replanted them, and
well, I replanted the plants into my regular garden, but I used the box itself to put herbs in the front of the house.
Oh, okay.
Where I didn't have a garden box, but now I do. It's a cardboard one, but it's beautiful.
Oh, it holds up really well.
It does. It's really good. The initiative was so great. We had a lot of donations for little swag bags to go with them, little books for kids to read about gardening, little shovels, gloves, aprons, all kinds of fun things for kids to get excited about it. Because a lot of the people that came here, it was a food market day. It's people that are coming to get some extra food for their home and their families, and they bring their kids. And, you know, and it was like, hey, do you eat vegetables? And they're like, I don't like them. What if you grow them? I want to grow them.
Yeah, and it changes a little.
It does change, even in my own child. Like, from not wanting to try spicy lettuce like arugula to being able to eat it now on a normal basis because she grew it herself. In my own house, it was a great thing.
Yeah,
So-
I guess it takes you through the process more than just, you know, picking and choosing either grocery store or, you know, I don't like this or I don't like that. It's a whole different process when you're growing it yourself.
Well, in a normal family that has a budget that is limited, are you going to spend $8 on a bag of expensive lettuce for your kids to go ill?
Right, right.
And you're like, come on, eat it. I just paid for it.
Right.
Versus a little packet of seeds was $1, and we had a whole season's worth of green leafy vegetables. So in my case, it worked really well. Not just as a learning thing with a kid. Sometimes it's hard for them to see the whole, where does our food come from? In the real world, to also, let's try things that are not prepackaged.
Okay.
So from, you know,
Well, a lot of things are packaged these days.
exactly.
So.
But, you know, anything from like earthworms, now she knows she needs to protect the earthworms, and she goes and throws them in the garden when she finds them on the sidewalk.
So how does that transition to then building a larger community garden then? What's the connection there?
Like always, these organic, lovely things happen. We had an email, Guadalupe and I, she works for the Berks Health Center and United Way. She is the Oakbrook liaison, English. And we got an email about this opportunity to apply for a grant for a community garden. And we were like, let's do it. Let's apply for the grant. And we shared it with anybody that we knew, including the two organizations she works for and the 18th Wonder Improvement Association. And it organically grew into a collective impact group. And now it has...
And everyone was on board.
Everybody's been excitedly on board. Nobody has been grudgingly pulled into it. It has been the opposite, which is so exciting and amazing. The Reading Housing Authority was the first one to say we're in. Like, our Oakbrook community is the only one that doesn't have an actual garden or access to growing your own things, because even the apartments have like boxes, garden boxes for residents to grow anything they want to. So they were like, yes. And I was like, okay, can we have some land?
I say that's the next question.
Exactly.
Then, right?
Can we have some land, please? And they were like, yes, you can have some land. Of course, there was, you know, some back and forth and communication that needed to happen. And then we're like, okay, so we need water, because the garden needs water.
Right.
And the Berks Health Community Center was like, we will donate water. And then we were like, but we need some rainwater as well, because, again, community outreach and teaching is a part of the whole garden. So through Berks Conservancy, they are going to build us water collection barrels, two of them.
Okay.
Reading Housing Authority, together with them, are going to reroute from behind us from that building the gutters in the back to go into our collection barrels.
Oh, so they'll take it basically from the building then.
From that big building. They will put the barrels on this side over here. They'll just collect from the back building and bring it into the garden. So we'll have access to rainwater as much as possible. And when we don't have that water, then we will tap into the health center's water.
Oh, okay.
Because again, we know it's a donation. We want to make as much use as we can of nature. After that was like, okay, so what do we need? And it's been amazing. The Food Trust, the Victory Garden Task Force was renewed just to help us out.
Okay.
They were like, let's do it again. What are we doing? How can we help? I said Berks Nature, but Food Trust, Berks Nature, the city of Reading. It was a phone call or a question. They have Pandora Park that has all that mulch where they take all the city stuff. And we were like, can we have some of that? They're like, yes, tell us when and how much.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, can we pick what we want? Sure. Okay. It's been fantastic.
So is there a layout planned, or how exactly?
That's exactly what we're working on right now. That's today. I was here to draw up the layout.
Oh, okay.
Because we have, again, a local 18th Ward resident who owns a company that does soil testing.
Okay.
He's going to come in and do some soil testing.
Yeah, I was going to say, because there's a lot more that still has to be done. And
Yeah. He's coming in to do some soil testing this weekend, and then we're on the midst of finding a lab to do the actual testing, and his company will do the interpretation of data just to make sure there's no mercury or lead or any of that stuff in here.
Yeah, it's good to know.
Yeah. But as soon as that's done and we get the okay, it's go day, and it's tillers and bring some compost and lay it out in a grid.
And that's when you're going to need the community's help.
We're going to need a lot of volunteers for that. If you want to volunteer, residents 18thw@gmail.com is the easiest way to go. That'll go straight to me, and I will forward it to where I need to forward it, including if you want a plot. We still have some plots available. So if you're interested in having your own little garden, it's...
so there's going to be separate plots in between?
Yes.
Okay,
We're
explain
looking,
that process.
Okay, so we're hoping to build 24 separate areas for people to grow. Some of the plots will be double, so we'll divide them in between two families. Some of them will be single. We're trying and hoping against all hope that we'll be able to put at least 3 ADA raised garden beds. So anybody in a wheelchair or a walker or any kind of mobility issues can have access to those. Because we have, one of the beauty things about this location is we have a little bit of a walkway around. So we can work as much as we can around the path. So people in a walker or any kind of mobility issues will be easier for them to get around.
Okay.
So we're going to try to put those raised gardens closer to the pavilion and closer to the walkway. The rest of them would just be ground level plots at this point.
Okay.
We had hoped and wanted to do some lovely lumber built-in boxes. The reality is that lumber prices right now.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
They're not cheap. They are ridiculous, and it defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do here.
Right.
That might be another year, a couple years down the line, we might be able to afford it if...
Well, that's going to be my next question. What is the future? I mean, by the time it's built and everything, what does the future look like for this for the community garden, and what are you hoping it kind of grows into as well?
So we're hoping it becomes not only a community garden for 24 families, but it becomes a place for the community at large to come and do things. A lot of the volunteers that we have and a lot of the proposals of help that we have are extension classes.
Okay.
Like the rain barrel. They are like, not only will we put them in for you, but we will give a class on how to do it at home.
Oh, okay.
So maybe, maybe you don't live here in this direct area or this community, but maybe you want to learn about rain barrel collection. And it's a free class. And they might have access, and they might bring in some of the materials that you might need at a really lower cost than what you would get at a big department store or whatever. The Food Trust, they have amazing community outreach with recipes and healthy foods. So maybe you don't want to garden this year, but maybe you want to learn to cook some of the food that people grow in their gardens.
Right.
Because you might want to try it. And again, you don't have the budget to spend on all these fresh ingredients, but you might want to try what it tastes like.
Yeah.
And they are willing and able to do those classes for us and for the community at large. The United Way runs a program called the Ready, Set, Read for the summer, and they have always historically done it from this pavilion, and we want them to continue that. We want them to keep coming here, even though there'll be a garden in here, because kids gain so much from access to nature. So not only are they going to be reading books, they might be able to walk around and look at some of the things they're reading about.
Okay.
I'm
So it's more education and...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The best part to me about vegetable gardening has been making our lives, my daughters and mine, our lives a little bit broader. Challenges have come up, run to the library, get a book, or ask a seasoned gardener.
Right.
And they have been fantastic in answering questions and any kind of ideas. And the organic movement is so fantastic. In Berks County alone, you just ask. And I'm like, listen, I have this problem, but I don't want to put pesticides in my garden. And people have just been like, try this.
Yeah, it seems like the community is very supportive, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of this it seems like it's moving along very, you know, quickly for the community and everything. This is really cool.
It is.
Is there anything else that is going on with the garden or the project that? Because I feel like every time I ask you a different thing, there's something new. Like I didn't realize that you were in here today, even before we set all of this up, trying to figure out stuff. So.
What else is going on with this? Well, we're trying to put a little play area in the very back of the garden.
Okay, you didn't tell me about that either.
Well, we have this big pipe.
I'm learning this all brand new too.
I know. Well, there's this big pipe, this concrete pipe that you can't see, but it's right there. And kids love climbing on things, and I didn't want to just get rid of it.
Okay.
Again, I'm a single parent. I go with my kid almost everywhere. It's a fact of life. And if I want to have some time to garden in peace, she kind of needs to be somewhere safely enjoying herself.
Okay.
Because they get tired really
Yeah.
quick. You know, come on, help me weed. 10 minutes later, I'm done weeding.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the attention spans,
Yeah.
not a...
So we're trying to put a little bit of a play area on the back side. We're going to move the
Gonna move the pipe to a different
pipe all the way
direction
to
then. Okay.
the lower end of the garden. It's on a slope anyway back there, so there's not much point in regular gardening except like viney type things.
Right,
Because
right.
the slope. So
So that'll be a little play area.
that'll be a little bit of a
okay.
nature play area.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're trying to work on that, see how much we can get to that area. I'll be putting in hopefully, there's a kind of circle over there. I'll be making a sunflower teepee.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if your kids have ever played in one. My kid loves it, and she makes me put one in every summer in the house. It's
Well, see, these are the things that I don't really, you know, like using the pipe and the sunflowers, things like that. When I think of a community garden, you know, I'm thinking of just plots of different garden areas, and that's basically it. You know, like you go in, you work on your own garden, and that's it. But it sounds like there's actually a lot more here, and it will be a lot, especially with the rainwater and different educational kind of stuff, the component to it. That there's a lot more here and everything you're planning than just, you know, that's a garden over there, and those for people who are gardening, you
who know what
have
they're
the plots,
doing.
and that's it. You
Yeah.
know, there's a lot more here for that. So that is really cool. That's awesome.
And I mean, we always need things, and if you have some used yard equipment that you no longer use because a family member used it and it's still in your shed and you want to donate it, hit me up for it, because it'll be awesome to have some shared tools.
Okay.
And when you think about
Yeah,
it,
stuff that can be here
that can
that
be
people can
here. We
use,
have a
okay.
little shed that we can use it as a tool shed. Again, community garden, we want to stick to that whole community aspect of it. We're going to be sharing the responsibility of the maintenance of it,
Okay.
as well as sharing the tools and sharing the information. And even with last year's gardening, we were sharing food. I grew way too many zucchinis, and my neighbor grew way too many green beans for her household. So we were like, here, exchanging.
Yeah, if something grows, it grows well, but then something else you thought it would grow well doesn't, and then
Yeah, and I was like, I'm going
Yeah.
to put extra plants because they never grow. And then,
they grew.
yeah, they were huge. So, that kind of thing, that always happens organically in a garden anyway. I mean, I have my own garden at home, but I'm taking a plot here.
Okay.
And I was joking about it, and they were like, but why are you taking a plot? And I'm like, listen, my kid alone can eat the green peas that I grow.
Right.
So if I can just put in a plot of just green beans and green peas, I'll be good with that. Because this kid will eat all of the green peas and green beans that I can grow.
So you're going to be here quite a bit
I
trying to
am.
make sure. Okay.
Yeah, no, the first year, definitely. I already signed up for a plot. I'll probably take the worst one because, it's just going to be green beans and peas.
Well, I have a feeling you're probably going to be here to help everyone else out, too.
Of course,
I'm
yes.
Sure.
That's part of it. I can bike here from my house, so.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
It's another one of those things. You live in the 18th ward. You can really get here rather easily.
Yeah. There is. It's easy to get around to. There's not a lot of.
Even if you're coming from like Lancaster Avenue, it's like straight down and up a little bit, or if you're coming from Wyomissing Park, you can come from the back. Or, it's really easy to get to. It's not a hidden spot. Hopefully, we'll be able to put some climbers around the fence and just give those out to people. That was one of the other goals that we had from the Reading Housing Authority. One of their goals was to have something that we could just bag up and hang on the fence for people to take.
Yeah.
I always found it a lovely thing whenever I walked past the community garden, and it was like, oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
You're giving out tomatoes. I don't know. So
that's been a lot already.
Yeah,
it's a lot more. I didn't know as much. I mean, I knew about the garden. I knew a little bit of what was going on, but you really filled in a lot of the gaps, and there's a lot going on here. So you have your work cut out for you.
We do.
Whether you wanted to hear that or not, because I know when you're planning a project like this, and then someone comes in and tells you like that's a lot. Like, yeah, it is a lot. I don't want to think about it.
I know, but to quote the A-Team, I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah.
It's that's the best part about community service for me. It's it's not just
because again, I mean, back in the beginning of all of this, you're a volunteer for this. This isn't your job. This is you're doing this for the community. So
and
that's a lot of work.
And my own child. I mean, when you think about it, you live in a place you want your kids to enjoy and be safe and grow and learn, and not just your kids. You want everybody else's kids too.
Right.
One of the first things that made me join the 18th Ward Improvement Association was the fact that one of their main goals was to create a place to not just work, but to live and play and shop and just want to walk around, and just a place that you enjoy being in. And that was one of the first reasons I was like, I want to be in on that.
Yeah.
As a resident, I don't want to have to go to other townships for an Easter egg hunt. I don't want to have to go to another township for, a parade of cars, or there's so many other things that we know happen all over the different townships.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And we normally like, oh, well, that happens over there. I mean, we're not going to take over every single one of them, but it would be lovely to have one of those yearly things that happen in our community. I mean, for me, I'm a huge proponent for Schlegel Park. I am always talking up Schlegel Park, and people are like, Schlegel Park? And I'm like, listen, it's, the pool's almost done, but it has a great pool. It has so much green area, and people are like crowded up on Center City or whatever. And
there's a lot more space than people think there is.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially when you go up top.
Yes,
and,
it's huge. And I'm like, it's such a fun park to just walk around, throw a Frisbee or a ball, or just sit down and read a book. And it's right in our neighborhood. And most people are like, Schlegel Park, isn't that? Yes, behind Lancaster Avenue.
Well, like I said, it's easy to miss, So,
it's the 18th
and I
ward.
feel like and it's not in a bad way, but I feel like a lot of things in the 18th ward are very kind of like that. Where it's if you're just driving on Lancaster Ave or Kenhurst Boulevard or something like that, it's very easy to miss. That just completely, like it's just out of the way. You're just driving by, you don't see it. But unless like something like that, where you actually go into it and you see it, and even like this space here, it's going to turn into something like that where you find it, and there's going to be a lot here. So, and that's really cool to kind of see those kind of projects pop up.
It is, and I mean, as a resident, I love this community. I find it to be calm and walk-worthy, and there's so many lovely walks and bike rides that you can take. There's a new bike path coming up that's going to join to all the other bike paths. And I mean, so I don't know. I love it. And I guess from working in the city downtown and hearing so much of the negativity that people just automatically associate with Reading and downtown Reading, to me it's like, but have you been to Reading? Because it's like, there's so much in Reading that there's a science center on Penn Street.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, what? Brooks Nature has a play zone that is made out of nature.
And that's in the city too.
And that's part of our city.
Again, it's on the outside, so people don't always associate it with the city, but yeah, that is within the bounds as well.
And
so
it's,
there's a lot of those things. Yeah.
One of the 2 sections of the park, it's completely open to the public. Bring your kids, let them climb on trees safely.
Yeah, it's designed to do that.
It is designed to do that.
Yeah.
The worst that can happen is you have to pat your kid and make sure they don't have slugs in their pockets, because I've been there.
Jeez, that's happened before.
Oh.
Okay, well, that's...
Yes, my daughter, whenever they go to the creek, she brings animals back, and the conversation is like, where do animals live? In nature. Do they live in your pocket? No. Go put it back.
Okay, wow.
It's a little salamander. It wants to go home with me. No, it doesn't.
Well, I haven't experienced that with my kids yet.
Send me your kids. I'll take your kids to Brooks Nature. Mine will corrupt them.
Animals like that, yeah. But,
my kid will be like, no, you won a slug. Take it home.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for kind of going over all this. This is really amazing to hear about all the great projects that are happening. You know, things that are still happening, like the library project and everything. Because I think, you know, it's something that's out there. Not, again, unless you see one of them, you might not always be aware of it too. But then the community garden project here, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
and a lot that will go on with this little plot of land here.
Yeah.
I can't wait to kind of see everything, come together here. It's going to be.
And even if you can't volunteer hours, or you have no interest in hours in particular, there's other community gardens in the city of Reading and the outskirts, and there's another one coming up, and I can't speak of that one yet.
See, there's more.
There's more, but it's not mine. It's just a sister project.
Okay.
So anytime people reach out, of course, you help out as well. The same thing happened with the library boxes. There's another group, a nonprofit, that has put library boxes throughout Berks County.
Yeah, right.
And when I was first, the reach out happened, it was, of course, let's, this is what we've been doing. I did it in a much smaller scale, 18th Ward, but this group has gone boom, and I love it. Like, to me, it's like, yes, books everywhere. So the same thing with community gardens, with living in a city, loving a city. I know that the one thing that people miss is the access to nature. And, finding Berks Nature, just one of the places, because I keep talking about Berks Nature because I love it. Because it's like, it's a whole other world. We walk that creek all the time. Spring, summer, fall.
Yeah, because they have the trail.
They have a trail, and, we look for tadpoles, and we look at nature and look for birds and all kinds of things. And it's a wonderful place to learn and to just be, to just get away from work or life or whatever. No iPads allowed. If you must read, take a book.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just love it. Maybe because I grew up in the city, and where I come from, it's completely the opposite. It's all nature. I come from Puerto Rico, and my life was either at the beach or in a country house.
Okay.
So to me, to come live into Reading as a teenager, it was like, where's the things that we go do? So it took a lot of exploring and asking, well, where do you go to swim? Oh, we go to, whatever pond. And I'm like, pond? So that, those are the culture shock things that you have to kind of get over. But, so I don't know. I love it, and anything I can do to help. And if anybody has any way of helping, reach out. Residents, plural, 18th W @gmail.com.
Yes, I was going to say, how can people get a hold of you? How can they learn more about the project?
That's the email you can reach me at. The website is 18thward.com. That's the residence page. The community garden has other entities attached to it as well. So they will be able to help if you... The way that you can help or volunteer or offer help is through one of them. That's great too. If you have extra plants that you kind of started from seed this year and you don't know what to do with them, if you want to bring them in, bring them in. Because extra plants will always be of use.
Okay.
It doesn't mean... Some of them are really hard to start at home if you don't have the space. So if anybody that puts in plants and grows extra like I do, bring them in. That would be an awesome way of helping. There's anything you can or want to do, we'll work with it.
Yeah, that's, like I said, this is all really great to hear about. I'm really excited to kind of hear all this stuff, and thank you for coming in and sharing everything today.
Thank you.
Like I said, I didn't know probably half of this going in, so this is all new to me as well. But this is really great to hear about the community, and thanks for watching on our restart of the
Yay.
Reading Magazine live interview series. The hope is to get back into these weekly, and so if you know someone who's doing something for the community, like Tanya here, if that's you or someone you know, go to our website, rdgmag.com, and fill out, I think it's under the More tab, you can fill out an application to be on the show, and we can talk about what you're doing for the city of Reading, or even for the county. What kind of cool things are you up to? But thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.